Buddy, my name is Ralph Renna. You know who I am. And we're going to try something new today here on Nippertown.com. As you know, we brought back the. We turn off the phone. We brought back Capital Underground after a long time of not uh, not being on the air where it started at 1049 The Edge at Albany Broadcasting. My friend Dan Dinsmore from the Clay People and Owl and so many other bands, great bands, East Wall over the years, and over at Media and over at Studios came to me and said, I'm going to do this radio show. And that's how Capital Underground actually began. So I want to thank Dan Dinsmore because we're still carrying on the tradition some 16 years later. This March, the first few weeks of March last year is when we started Capital Underground in Nippertown. So we're going to be celebrating our 1 year anniversary on Nippertown. So I'm not going to really juggle around a bunch of anniversaries, but there's a reason to celebrate. So we're going to start having a few Capital Underground live shows. Now, this Capital Underground pop-up that we're going to be doing on Nippertown is not going to be slated for any particular time or any day right now, just because of personal commitments I have. I don't want to commit to it. I'd rather just pop up during a snowstorm like we are today. And hopefully you guys can tune in. And what we're going to do is, since we don't really have local band interviews on Capital Underground, we are going to be interviewing the bands here, focusing on the band, just the band. We'll play their music on the show every Monday. A new episode goes up. We're up to episode 45. Some great music in there. Gracie's Paris, yada, yada, yada. When we started Capital Underground, there was a driving force that was directly to my back. So just picture another chair about 3 feet away from me. And to my back was a man who basically showed me all the ins and outs and the ways of production as I became assistant production director to this production director at Albany Broadcasting. We became great friends, and I would not be able to start this without bringing him on, because if it weren't for Steve Murray, and I'm introducing Steve Murray, there he is. Hello, Steve.
Hey, how's it going, Ralph?
It's going real well. And if it weren't for Steve Murray, I wouldn't have all these technical skills that I have, even though I learned a little bit way back in the day when the computers were just starting to come into play in the 90s, the year like 91, 92 at Z-Rock with Mike Flynn.
Z-Rock.
But Steve definitely was a driving force behind Lynch and I with Metal Storm and Capital Underground. And if you see something pop up these days called radiosucks.com, the only reason I did that is because Steve said it one day, and I was trying to revamp an old Facebook page. And when I started a website called ralphrennarocks.com, Steve came up with the web address.
ralphrennasucks.com.
There it is. So I bought Ralph Renna Sucks. I bought ralphrennasucks.com. And when I did that, I just directed it to ralphrennarocks.com, which now has just become ralphrenna.com because I'm getting old. I don't think I rock anymore. But speaking of rock, Steve and I haven't seen you in a long time. I can't believe how long your hair is. I'm so jealous. Now, how long have you been growing that?
Over a year now. It's been over a year. I started growing it.
Yeah.
It was like, I figured before I get out of my teenage years, I should have long hair once in my life.
Have you ever had hair that long before in your life, or you always had the kind of the crew cut, right?
I always had like the flat top crew cut, short hair. So yeah, this is a new thing for me, new experience. It's
Yeah.
exciting. Living the
To
dream.
give you a little brief history on Steve Murray, and voiceactorgarage.com is Steve's business. He's also, you'll hear him regularly on any of the Albany broadcasting stations, like Fly 92 or Jams 96.3, The Cat, and so on and so forth. That's their cluster of stations, and that's where I came from with Capital Underground. Also, you can see him out once in a great while, and that's what we're going to get to, is because I haven't seen you on stage in a while. A very, very local, a very funny local comedian who is more national now than he is local. You see him in TV commercials, you see him in shows. Greg Adalia. I always say it wrong. Is that right? Greg Adalia?
The last one is correct. The last one you said. Yes.
Greg Adalia.
Option 3
good
was
guy.
perfect.
I actually got to share the stage with his band, the QE2, the Fuse Box, when we did the first Henry McFerrin. He was in a band. I was like, wow, this is cool. You're in a band. So how did you get started with Greg in performing comedy?
We actually met through trivia. He was working for the trivia company I was working for, and at the time I had a comedy Christmas album I put out to raise money for the American Cancer Society. So I handed him a copy. We had just met for like 20 minutes. We're chit chatting, had a beer or two at an event, and I handed it to him. And probably a couple weeks go by, and he shoots me an email. He's like, "Hey man, I'd love you to be part of this upcoming show." And I thought, basically just as an announcer or whatever, because he knew myself as an event host. Maybe I just introduce the comedians, kick off the show, and he's like, "No, I love your Sean Connery." So from there, he does an amazing Al Pacino, and we started working together, doing two person like impressions on stage and scenes and skits and so forth.
Let me
So yeah,
stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. So I never even had a chance to ask you, being friends and working back to back for 5 years at
mhm,
Albany Broadcasting in the same cubicle.
yeah.
I never even asked you, was it at a young age? Were you ever, I mean, obviously we all have this drive in us that make us want to be on the radio. And we got there somehow. Love of music, love of DJs, love of the radio. Uh, were you doing impressions as a little child? Were you driving your parents crazy?
I was not. No, I was more of like a jumping in the room dancing type of guy to drive them crazy. I didn't start doing any impressions till I was probably 19, 20 years old. Because I
Right,
figured I can pick up the chicks this way by sounding like
right.
a 65-year-old man.
Right. And Steve, the thing about Steve is that I believe I was there when the Connery impression started, and you were just joking one day, and you just did it, and it just stuck, and that's what led on to all the other, Morgan Freeman and all the other things that you do.
Yeah.
So you meet up with Greg Adalia. He does a. I used to go out and see you guys live. He's doing Pacino. You're coming back at him with Connery, and then all of a sudden it just becomes a back and forth. And how did so that kind of gelled, and you guys did a bunch of shows. So we'll jump back on that train with the comedy thing.
Yeah, it started off where we just did one skit, and actually Benita Zahn was part of the showcase that day, and Nate Bargatze was the headliner. Now Nate Bargatze's got Netflix specials and everything, and so I did the show, and I said, "Wow, that was terrible. I'm never gonna do that again." I was so nervous. I drank like 17 waters and sweated through them all in like 10 minutes. I was like, "That was terrible. I'm never doing that again." And then 9 years later, I was
You
still
so you
doing
were
it.
you were nervous. You were
Yeah,
nervous.
yeah. I was super nervous just because we had we're at the Linda. It was kind of sold out. It's a very cozy setting. I'm not sure how many people sit there. Say 150 at the time,
Yeah.
and we're up there. We do this set, and I was just like just faking it, man. In the green room. Oh yeah, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm Mr. Cool. Inside, I was like, I'm gonna forget everything. We
Right.
did like two
Puking all
minutes.
over
We
your
did like two.
insides, shit in your
Yeah, did two
pants.
or three
Yep.
minutes on stage. Really short set, but
Yep.
whatever. And then we just kind of grew this set where we would do we read some misconnections from Craigslist. We build characters and storylines. We do more impressions. We actually had like a beginning, middle, and end to this set, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun doing it up until probably 2019. I'd say 2018, 19. We do variations. We wrapped up kind of like doing an inebriated Morgan Freeman and Al Pacino doing "Twas the Night Before Christmas." So we're fake
Right.
inebriated on stage, just riffing, doing some improv, and the crowd usually liked how we wrapped that up. It
Right.
was a
I
lot of
think I
fun.
saw something similar, less the
Mhm.
holiday thing, but that
Yeah.
was when you guys opened up for Jackie Martling at the
Oh,
Holiday Inn
oh
and
yeah.
Suites.
I remember that. Yeah.
Also part of the Morel family and our friends Jingo and everybody over there. So now with the pandemic hitting, guys, I can see you're sitting in your closet or in your living room right now with your homemade makeshift studio. You've
Hmm.
been working from home since March,
Yeah. Yeah.
April, May
Yeah.
of
Since it started.
2020.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where I'm kind of lucky to have that ability through technology where everything is cloud based, the software we use. I've got a professional sounding studio. It sounds really, really good. So I've got access to everything and I can just
Your
plug away
voice
and make it
sounds like
happen.
your voice sounds like God, by the way. God.
Okay.
I feel like
It's
I'm
it,
on a telephone, but we're gonna
because of this
figure out. I got to get a yeah,
this
that microphone.
microphone.
So tell us about the microphone.
It's a Warm 47 Junior microphone. And I used to do Shure products before and they were really good. This
Yeah,
one I kind of like it was this one's I needed a little more of the resonance in my voice to kind of come out. The
Yep.
other stuff was a little bright, and
Yep.
I purchased this little monster, and I loved it, and it
How
does
much
more
is
than
set you back? Should I go buy one?
I would say go for it. I mean, this was under $300. I think I got it
That's
for
easy. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I think I got.
affordable.
I think it was maybe it was on sale for 229, 259,
Right.
something like that. If I got the regular 47 warm mic, I think it was like $600. But at the time too, is like it's tough to test stuff out, especially during the pandemic. You want to test your
Right.
your voice to it and your setup and everything. So I just did a crapshoot and went through the guys at Sweetwater, which are fantastic, and chatted with
Yeah,
a guy. He goes,
sweetwater.com. Definitely
yeah,
the musician's choice. If you
yeah,
can't get to Parkway Music or to one of the other locally owned and operated Rocky's Music Studio, Sweetwater is like where we all go for
yeah, they were
stuff.
fantastic. So yeah,
Yeah.
they shipped this mic out and I plugged it in. I was like, wow, this sounds great.
So backing up, we were working back to back again at Albany Broadcasting, and we both were really running high energy then, but you're still kind of going there. And I remember days where it was like, all right, I got to pack up the car, we got to finish up, we got to finish up the rest of the work for the day and get all the commercials ready for tomorrow, blah blah blah, and then I'd be running out and heading right to Savannah's to go do Capitol Underground Live,
Mhm.
and you were going to do trivia somewhere. So you started doing trivia, which again gives you a platform to promote your voice over a microphone because you're not just asking questions to the crowd, man. You know,
No, man.
you're not ever in character. You're just Steve Murray all the time, and that's what people don't get. Your voice may sound like it's projected, but these trivias really did a big thing because then now you can start working in your impressions, and that goes a long way. You're not just a trivia host now, you're also entertaining the crowd. So you got started with Baker, our old friend from Pix 106, right? Is that the Baker that
Yeah,
we're
Barbecue
referring
Baker
to?
from Pix 106, and
Barbecue Baker.
yeah,
Yep.
he's got his company Trivia Nights Live, and it's doing well and throughout the capital region and beyond, and he's really built it up from the beginning, and I've been with him for 10 plus years. So I've done many gigs, and yeah, it gave me a chance to kind of get out there, and you're right, develop some characters and also just meet some people. I did get voiceover jobs from it, and I've got event hosting jobs. I've done fundraisers, private trivias, and so forth. And people, you know, uh, bought my services as a voice actor by meeting them in person. Like, hey, go to my website, Voice Actor Garage. We'll chit chat, yada yada. So it's definitely helped out in a lot of ways.
What about Morgan Freeman or Connery? Why don't you give him a taste of a little bit of both? And maybe we can get you involved in a band someday and you can
I
sing.
know. Sing, I know. God rest the soul
So
of Sean
Connery,
Connery.
hi Sean, how you doing today?
It's great to be here from the beyond, the great beyond, as they say. Yes, I'm just coming in now from the great beyond to say hello and good
Hmm.
afternoon.
Yes, Sean. How's the sex where you are now?
Well, you get what you want anytime you want it. That's what the great beyond gives you. The great beyond.
Oh look, Morgan Freeman just walked in the room. Hey Morgan, how you doing? Welcome to Capital Underground TV.
Well, it's great to be here, Mr. Ralph Renna. The voice of God is always near Sean Connery because, he's in heaven in the great beyond. But it's
Now,
great to be part of
did you
this.
think you'd live this long?
Well, being from Mississippi, you never know. But I've got a collection of bees now, and I eat the bee honey. It's a true story. So it keeps you alive, vital.
Please tell me more about the bee honey. It keeps me alive. I want to hear about this.
He does. He does actually have like a bee farm. Bee farm. Morgan Freeman does. So it's
Yep.
interesting. I did research. I was like, oh, cool. I'll use that someday. And now it's the first time I've ever used it.
I'm hoping someday that I can bring you back on the show and we can discuss where your Morgan Freeman impersonations have brought you, things that are kind of wrapped up in business or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Good project.
these voiceovers, back to just your voice,
Sure.
has led to much, side jobs, whatever. But now you're the voice of a video game that's kind of popping right now. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. It's called Knockout City, and it came out almost 1 year ago. The new season kicks off March 1st. There'll be season number 5, and I play the character of the DJ on the Moon. He's a 60s, 70s smooth talking DJ. And basically, the game is a dodge brawl video game available on all platforms.
Did you say
And
dodge brawl?
dodge brawl. So
Not ball,
basically,
dodgeball, but a fight with
brawl.
dodgeball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically,
Yep.
instead of like shooting your enemies, you hit them with dodgeballs. You tackle them. You do funky shots. You got funky costumes,
Right.
and you have multiple players.
Nothing like the fucking boring video games we used to play.
No,
Like,
no.
Pong
Yeah.
or Space Invaders. Right. No, it's amazing.
Yeah,
The graphics are amazing.
10 minutes later, you're like, oh, it moved across the screen. Now this is just, it's super high tech. They develop their own like software, and it's just nuts. The studio, Velen Studios, is great, and the new season launches like this upcoming week. And then actually the big news, it'll be actually free to play coming in season 6, which launches June 1st. So right now, depending on what service you have, a PlayStation or whatever, it can be from $0 to say $20. But it'll be free to play coming in June 1st. So yeah, there's millions of people that play it. I got some fans. I got a wiki fandom page.
Have you played the game? Have you played the game?
I actually have played the game, and I say this in all honesty. I would like to play the game even if I wasn't a part of the game. And it's normally not that type of game I would like to play. It's just so much fun. It really is a lot of fun.
But the thing about with you and me knowing you personally and watching the trailers for this game, some of the shit you say is just good. The comebacks are good. There's a lot of sarcasm. They kind of, I know they probably scripted you for this, but you got to just do your own thing and be you. And was there a lot of that where you would throw in extras and then you watch the game and you're like, hey, this wasn't in the script. This just come off the top of my head. Did they use some of that stuff in the game?
They've used just a little bit of it.
Right.
It's more like I'll have just some weird laugh I'll just toss in, or just a weird aside, or something like that that'll kind of come out that's just comedic. But they do a great job of writing, and the process is great too. I've got 1 or 2 directors through Velen Studios, or when I was working with EA Electronic Arts, and they're directing me in the West Coast and all through Zoom, and that's how it kind of goes. But yeah, they've got a script, and then they'll be like, hey, you know what? Let's try this, let's try that. So it's always evolving as the process goes. And and then they just plug and play what kind of works. And the last 2 seasons, they incorporated a process called it's called Deep Space Dispatches. So it's old time radio kind of theater. So they do a lot of acting. They have storylines about the game and the lore, and there's other characters, and we act off each other. So it's a lot of fun. Then you unlock each episode. There's like 11 episodes per season, and
you're saying that it's there's episodes of a video game, almost like it's a TV show, but you're playing a video game. Now it's called Knockout City.
Correct.
Greatest Hits Season 5 reveal trailer. That's what you'll want to search on YouTube, and eventually once we're done being live, we'll post some links in the chat so you can go back and check out some of that stuff. But Knockout City, how do you get involved with something like this? Like, where does this come from out of fucking nowhere? And here you are on this game.
It's the Wanna Digest. No, I'm not.
I don't think anybody remembers the Wanna Digest unless you ate at Dunkin's on Hoosick Street in Troy.
I know.
It used to be right next door, but that was where we all went to sell stuff when there wasn't no interwebs.
Yeah, no, it was actually a couple of people I've worked with in the past over the last few years. Knew some people, and then they got me lined up to audition for the role, for the character, and a whole bunch of people auditioned, and then they reached out to me after like 2 months had gone by, and they offered me the role, and they said, and then I agreed, and we had a chance to chat, and they're all excited, and they said, Steve, like, we can't wait to work with you. This is going to be great, but we have to be honest, you did not nail the audition. I was like, okay.
You called me to tell me I suck, and I didn't. Did you think at that point you didn't get the job?
No, they actually had already offered it to me, and I agreed to it.
Okay.
And then they said, listen, you're really, really close. We just need to do this. It was one of those deals where, you're 1 degree away. And
but that's okay. And you understand that because
100%.
We as producers had to, people would come into Albany Broadcasting, and man, it sounded like they had a mouthful of marbles. And by the time they got done with when we got done with them, and
Aw.
hey, just be yourself. Just be yourself. And we would that's why we got labeled voice coaches and or voice actors or producers, because you got to at least help the person use their voice who don't
Yeah.
know. Like me, you and I both are from Troy, but you got out of this habit quicker than I did. And I still, when I write posts on Facebook, I'm still not saying your, I'm saying you're. That's a Troy thing. That's a
Yeah.
South Troy thing. You're, you
It
know,
happens.
Y-E-R. Yep.
There's definitely there's regional dialects everywhere across the country and
Right.
across the world. So I try to eliminate them as much as possible. But some people they'll tell me, some producers, when I'm working on projects, like, "Oh, you said this kind of weird." I'm like, "Oh, you don't realize it." I would
Right.
always say like 100 instead of 100, like 100,
Right.
100,
Right.
and
Hunt it.
yeah,
Hunt it.
yeah,
Or
and then
Sturts for Stewards. Nick
so,
Rivers. Yeah, Sturt. Let's go
yeah,
to Sturts and get a sixer. Right.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
even myself learning to pronounce and articulate and speak better, speak more fluently.
Speak
I had
more,
to come out.
speak more gooder.
Right. I think you were already at that point when I started working, I think wherever it was, 2006 or seven, working closely with you. So
Mhm.
being a voiceover actor, a
Yeah.
producer, running the production for six or more, probably what, 10 radio stations now. There's still a few outside Albany Broadcasting.
Yeah, I mean, there's some we help out, and there's other like other frequencies that get latched on. So I would say 6 stations, but there's more frequencies. But
Right.
whatever, splitting hairs right there.
So that's why I feel like this is an important first interview, because you were beginning of Capital Underground and we're always like Ralph Renna sucks.com, radio
Ralph
sucks.
Renna
And we had so
sucks.com.
much fun with it. And it taught me, if you can't make fun of yourself, then forget it.
Yeah,
But Steve
seriously.
taught me a lot of things. And I'm really glad you came in today. Also, any comedy shows? Have you and Greg planned anything now that things are kind of lightening up a little bit? It's probably time, don't you think?
Not currently. There's nothing currently in the works. He's working on some cool projects, and I honestly don't really have the time for it right now, just because
Yep.
there's a lot more work I'm doing. My full-time job, and then as I branch out as a voiceover actor with my side business, that's taking a lot of my time, and doing the three trivias a week. So there's the balancing act is one where right now doing comedy isn't really in the forefront. It's like in the background. Now someone offers me X amount of dollars or whatever, like I will
Right.
listen.
Right. Okay.
But right now
Hello.
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Oh, did you say money? Ha ha
Right,
ha! I
exactly.
take
Who
that.
doesn't need
Yeah,
money?
but otherwise,
Um,
not right now.
one of my questions earlier was going to be, the only thing you haven't done is music, but actually, there are a very Murray Christmas music. Are they
Oh,
just storyboards? Are they just
oh.
storylines? So maybe the next thing you need to conquer is you need to get in a band and sing like Connery, or sing, or just do spoken word
He's too
over,
spoken.
the tradition. We'll do it. We'll
Nice.
perform the soundtrack and you can just talk over the music as
There,
Morgan and whoever.
as you're
Are there
saying this,
any? Yeah, go ahead.
there actually is a song, a music track coming out this Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, that I do like a little freestyle on. So you brought it up, you didn't even know that, and it's the minute
Freestyle like rap.
it's honestly it's just some hoots and hollers as the character from
Okay.
Knockout City, and it's part
Okay.
of it's a brand new track that's getting released, and I just heard it, so I'm in it like 3 times, just like laughing, and then I'm like, yeah, let's roll, or something like that. So
I'm going to.
when it wins an
I'm going to.
award,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll laugh
When
at
it wins an award,
yeah,
we'll remember we did this. But
spinning on
after
Capital
the
Underground.
after the show airs, I'm going to dig up some links. Like I said, post them in the chat. Want you
Okay,
guys to check it out. Steve, go back and do the same.
definitely.
Voiceactorgarage.com. You also host a lot of trivia. So when does your week start with trivia?
It starts Tuesday. All my games are at 7 o'clock. So Tuesday, I'm in old Albany, Small Albany at McGeary's, my oldest haunt,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
at 7. Then Wednesday, it's all part of Troyalty. I'm back in Troy at McAddy's at 7, and then I venture out on Fridays. It's a fun Friday game at the Madison Theater. They've got a
Yep.
restaurant and bar, so I'm there at 7 o'clock doing some
That
trivia.
place, I've yet to be there though. That seems pretty amazing. And that's the newest one that you're in now.
Yeah. They hired me like mid-pandemic to come in, and prior to that, actually, myself and Greg Adela had been doing some. We did two-person comedic trivia theme nights there. We did a couple of those. We did a Harry Potter night, and we did a Marvel versus DC night. They were packed. It was a lot of fun, and two people on the microphone, one doing table talk, and it was a blast. And then pandemic hit, so we kind of pulled back a little bit. So I just been doing the solo stuff there Fridays, and
Right.
they're great there,
Right.
and it's a fun little spot. If you guys have never been, they'll serve you in the theater, food, beverages, and they got like it's a little restaurant there. They've got live events, they've got comedy nights, they've got tons of stuff throughout the week. So it's a nice little spot.
That's right, Fuzz. Fuzz is watching us. Our own Fuzz,
Fuzz.
that fuzzing rock show every Thursday night. I don't even think Fuzz knew we were going to do this, and I was just like, Jim and I just woke up this morning, and I woke up to some text. Hey, maybe you should do a local thing? And I was like, you know what? I don't want to commit to a certain day or time. I'd rather it just be one of those. Boom, Ralph's live now with this guy or that girl now. Um, any other plugs before we part ways? And thanks for hanging out with as long as you could on your lunch break today. I
I
see
know I'm
we're
on my
at
lunch break. Well, I don't need any
12:27.
I don't need any hair plugs yet. No, man. Just the website is voiceactorgarage.com. Check it out. I'm gonna have some brand new demos up soon, and from there you can follow me on YouTube. And I got some fun videos up there. Some new characters I've
Is it
introduced.
all the same links like Stephen Murray or Murray at Stephen Murray, or what would your Facebook be? Because that's the easiest way for people to
Oh,
connect
yeah,
with
the
you right
Facebook
now.
is it's just it's Stephen Murray 518 because there's more than one Stephen Murray. So it's
Yep.
STEPHENMURRAY 518,
Yep.
and I've got all my stuff up on my Facebook for the most part, and yeah, you can go there. I'm
Yep.
always
And
available.
Fuzz, our own Fuzz, just did some research for us, and he put voiceactorgarage.com in the chat.
Thanks, Buzz.
If you're watching on Facebook, also this is being streamed on nippertown.com Facebook, and it also goes to the YouTube. So please like, share, subscribe, and please share this video and everybody else out there. And thanks for being here with me, Steve.
Thank you for the time. All right, have a good
All right.
afternoon. Bye
All
bye.
right. Peace out. All right, cool. Thanks to Steve
Peace.
Murray and voiceactorgarage.com. So I've been really debating. Should I get a haircut? I really don't know what to do. I had to slick it back today because I couldn't find my sunglasses to hold it back. It's really tough being 51 and trying to relive your youth and grow your hair out. And when I saw Steve's hair, I thought that was pretty amazing. Okay, so this is going to be something that's just going to pop up, and we really don't want to call it. So for now, we're going to call it Capital Underground TV. Just picture the funny video or the cartoon you used to watch, and the TV zaps, and all of a sudden we come on. That's what we're going to be doing. Now, another reason why we wanted to do this was because Capital Underground on Nippertown podcast really doesn't, maybe a 30 seconds to a minute. We'll let a band get their 2 cents in there and just say a little something. But I felt there was maybe a need, and so did Jim Gilbert, a need for me to interview bands for a little longer, half hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half, So if you are in a local band, Ralph at nippertown.com, should send your music in first. I also write about the bands on nippertown.com. And I also am on the crew with the boys and girls on Wednesday night on nippertown.com. So you can get your music played. You also can maybe set up an interview with me for when I feel like doing it, because life is just getting in the way right now. So when I can do this, I will do this. This has been a blast. So, thanks for spending your lunch half hour with me. And I'm just going to say sayonara for now. And I'll be back whenever I feel like it.